Are you ready?
Good news, everyone!
I'm the surprise in your cereal box. I'm
great! Everybody else sucks!
I said, are you ready?
Yes, sir, random kid I just met.
It's Ciely.
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
That's right. You're always blaming me.
So, my reputation exceeds me.
It's time to check the link.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You know what? You just made the list!
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
What is up, you ducks? It is All in Football on FTN Network, FTN Fantasy, code all in over there. Get you 20% off. Also, at The Athletic, scratch my nose. Good timing. If you go to The Athletic, the $1 a month is gone, but I believe it's now $2 a month, which is still $24 for the entire year. So you can check that out. We were talking about Foxy's got his Festivus poll up. I actually saw Seinfeld live this past weekend with Lauren, so we might have to do that. And that's a good one. Maybe the week before Christmas or the week after Christmas, we'll do our airing of grievances on the show, Lauren.
Yes.
We can't do the feats of strength. Like this doesn't really work, especially across like the video.
We can have players that showed feats of strength.
Oh, I like it. Maybe we'll do a whole Festivus episode. I like it.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. I see. Do you have like a little bit of a Christmas? I see a snowflake. Do you have a Christmas sweater? Do you think?
It is a holiday shirt.
Oh, okay. I just have Mario running away from the Ninja Turtles with a Ninja Turtle as the shell. So like that's.
Oh God, that's funny. I like that. Yeah, we're both blue today. Look at us, matchy.
Hopefully, unlike Mr. Nice Guy, you didn't matchy the score of your other team and have a tie. By the way, go to extra decimal point. One more. Keep going. Just keep going until it breaks it. And you don't have ties. But also, if you have double headers, it helps that as well. I mention that all the time. We're going to talk waivers. It is by Mageddon, by Apocalypse, blah, 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 part 2. It is the worst time to potentially try to make your playoffs with 6 teams on a bye, Lauren, including several injuries. Before we get to the waivers, I want to ask you a question I asked Meanie yesterday. And I think this is very important for people to try and figure out what they're doing. I'll see if you have a similar answer. My question to him was, is there anything Mike McDaniel can say to make you put your faith back in, put your trust back in, whatever? I can't even talk because it's that frustrating. Airing your grievances, Jeff Wilson. Is there anything Mike McDaniel could possibly say this week that would make you trust Jeff Wilson in your lineup to make the playoffs this week?
No, there's absolutely nothing that he can say. No, I might have to do it out of desperation because of all the buys and because of injuries, but I don't trust it. No, I don't trust it at all. I will not be happy about it. I will, maybe drink some Pepto-Bismol and take some antacids and maybe just not watch the game.
If you only had to start one, or if you needed to, however you want to phrase it, would you go Jeff Wilson or Raheem Mostert this week?
I think I would lean Jeff Wilson for the potential touchdown upside. Notice how I didn't say touchdown upside. Potential touchdown upside. And I still wouldn't like either one.
Still wouldn't like it.
No.
Well, here's what we're going to do. Since we're kind of like doing this, we might as well just start with the Warriors this week because Jeff Wilson was part of the Warriors. Jeff Wilson got a full-fledged, huge amount of ducks this week because he got 5. I didn't give him infinity because he's not done, but I gave him 5. 5 out of 5 ducks. Not infinity ducks, but you think it's a fair range because even if he said, this is the one that Meanie said. Meanie said, what if he comes out and says, oh, he wasn't 100%. He was nursing that injury from all that week. Would you drop that down to 3 ducks? If you heard that news, would you at least pull it back a little bit?
I'd pull it back to 4. Because
pull
I don't care
4,
if
it's still big.
It's still a lot, and I'm still really worried. So I might take it down. You know what? No, I lied. I think I would take it down, but to 4 ducks and an egg. I love Jeff Wilson.
You're gonna cram the duck back in the egg. You're
put it back in.
Try and tape the shell back together.
Just turn them all into turduckens and move on.
Which is Nicole's nightmare, by the way. She doesn't like the bones in the chicken. She doesn't like the bones stuff, whatever. She'd peel off the chicken. She hates chicken wings. So putting. Does the turducken? Do they take all the bones out to be able to stuff it all in? I don't know. I've never had a turducken.
I think the only bones that are in a turducken are on the legs. So
the turkey.
Yeah. I think doesn't. So the turducken only has the turkey legs to it, right? Because I think the breast is
does
then.
Fox know?
Yes,
they take all the bones out.
Yeah, they take all. Okay.
Oh, so you're shoving it in the turkey breast. You're not shoving it in like an actual turkey's butthole, like the stuffing.
No. You like
Okay.
wrap them. No. So you take like I believe you take like the outside turkey, take the the ribs and all that stuff out, open it up, and then you do the same thing. I believe I can't remember if it's duck or chicken or duck. You do the same thing with that. Open it up, and then you put the
hen
chicken
goes
breast
inside
in.
the duck inside the turkey. That's why it's duck hen.
Yeah,
Turducken.
but they're boneless. Yeah, it's like a Russian nesting doll. Thank you. Yeah, but you can also be kind of fun with it. You can stuff the different layers with stuffing and kind of do some fun things with it. I've never had one though.
I saw an Instagram post of a Russian nesting doll where they put it on the ground. So like when the guy picked it up, there was like another every time you couldn't pick it up because you couldn't, and like it went all the way to like one like this size. You just see him like continually, like who would keep going? I just like kick the damn thing over. All right,
just get a dustpan.
So speaking of ducks and eggs and worries, let's talk about Derrick Henry real quick. 4-game stretch, miserable by Henry standards. He did have the good one against the Packers, but everybody's looking at the yards per carry. Here's my thing about it: the other 3 games. Broncos, Bengals, and Eagles. Broncos, good run defense. Bengals, solid defense that people don't realize. Eagles, good defense. We know that. Eagles actually very different in their run game. It's a good defense, but even better when everybody's healthy, as we've seen. So, like, look, those 3 out of the 4, the good game against the Packers. Now this is the next 4 games. This is why I kept telling everybody to trade for Derrick Henry. And because it's December, what does he do in December? He goes nuts. But this is the next 4 games. Jaguars, Chargers, Texans, and then he finishes things out with the Cowboys, which are kind of middle of the pack against the run. But Jaguars, Chargers, Texans. Next thing, like, I gave 1 duck and 1 egg. That's it. Just a little bit of a concern just in case, like, Derrick Henry career is starting to wear on him. But that's as much as I could give him. Are you more worried, given what we've seen, because everybody's focusing on the yards per carry?
Nah, I would give him that 1, and I would give him 1 simply because I'm just so fed up of 4 weeks in a row that like I feel like I have to.
Well, it's
right?
3 out of 4.
Because then it's like I swear I'm
really
paying attention, right? It's like 3 out of 4, okay. But either way, I think I just kind of by default have to give him a little bit of worry. But those matchups are really good. We know what Derrick Henry can do. Just like you said, the weather is starting to turn. This is his time of year now. If he does poorly,
I mean, he's got Jaguars, Chargers, Texans.
Then that's a whole other situation.
The only thing better than that is throwing the Browns in that mix.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so let's talk something yesterday. By the way, Barkley, speaking of running backs, come here. She is the pickiest freaking dog in the world. I buy brand new bone treats for her to chew on, which she likes. I put it over there. She sniffs it, licks it a little bit, and left it. Like she's like, I guess she doesn't approve of whatever that taste is. Like, I can't win with this dog. Like, like
well, she has a
she's
very
picky.
sensitive palate. Okay.
She wears fancy
Meanwhile,
pants
my
over
cat
here.
is banging on my office door because the debacle last week of him spilling all of my water. Now I have coffee, so I was like, "Oh, I'm not even going to go here," because he walks behind my light.
Well, that debacle also got me
olive.
censored in Canada for saying "a-hole" too many times.
Oh my God, did you?
I think maybe.
That's funny.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, so
Sorry,
he's banging
Canada.
on my office door right now. Sorry, O'Reilly.
Okay, let's talk about the 49ers situation. So we talked about it yesterday with Meany, but now they're in the worries conversation because we have Brock Purdy at quarterback. Forget the Baker Mayfield talk. Like, whatever. Who cares? It's going to be as bad. I actually think Brock Purdy's better for this team than Baker Mayfield is at this point.
Oh, yes.
That all being said, Purdy, as we saw in that game, quite a few attempts to come in for Jimmy Garoppolo and throw that many times. But as we saw from him, middle of the field, shorter game. My biggest concern, and this is how I ranked it, so I gave George Kittle 2 ducks, just because it's Brock Purdy from Jimmy Garoppolo. That's like default. I feel like you have to start with 2 when you're dropping from Jimmy Garoppolo. But 2 and an egg for Debo, just a little bit more concerned. My biggest is 4 for Ayuk. I think Purdy coming into this, McCaffrey should be mostly fine. Kittle, Debo, short game. He actually went to Debo quite a bit.
Yes.
Ayuk, downfield ability, touchdown equity. I think he's the biggest concern. Like I put it in this conversation when I actually just did Pat's show for his rankings this week. I think Ayuk is now more of a kind of a George Pickens conversation. He could get you 2. He could get you 15.
I agree with you there. I honestly don't have anything else to add there. The number one piece on that offense that is going to suffer the most is going to be Brandon Ayuk. He's going to be touchdown dependent. That's if Purdy can successfully move it deep downfield, which is kind of where he's going to start living past those short and intermediate throws, the 20-plus yards throws. Let's hope that they're on time. Let's hope that they're accurate. And that's really where he is going to excel if he can get it done. And that is a big, big if. So for me, I'm fading Brandon Ayuk unless absolutely 100% necessary. And if I have to start him, I'm going to do the exact same thing I normally say when it comes to any kind of a fade article. Make sure that you surround the rest of your lineup with safe floor, high upside options, whatever is left after, the injury Mageddon and the buy Mageddon we have coming up.
Injury Mageddon. That's a new one. All right, so the last one, speaking of not getting the ball downfield, Deshaun Watson couldn't even get it 10 yards downfield. Deshaun Watson
of course not.
It was joy loving to throw into people's feet this first week back from
I enjoyed it too. I really enjoyed watching that.
Look, for everybody's like, oh, the rust or whatever, like your rust was definitely warranted, the rust concerns, I should say. So Amari Cooper, though, like first game back, and so the reason I gave Amari Cooper 1 in an egg and Donovan Peoples-Jones 2 in an egg is because I'm still only going to go 2 to 3 on them. And it's not so much because I'm not concerned about Deshaun Watson. It's just that where were they really anyway? Like is Cooper really going to get knocked out of wide receiver 2 status? Like, okay, maybe he becomes a fringe wide receiver 2 with every single team healthy. Is Donovan Peoples-Jones really going to be outside of the wide receiver 3 conversation? Kind of already was, depending on the week. So I'm mildly concerned if Deshaun Watson doesn't look any better in week 14, but I'm not full-blown panic yet.
Yeah, I agree with you, but for slightly different reasons. I do understand where you're coming from with that argument because they're kind of already there anyway. We weren't really expecting more from them this week or last week, if you will, week 14, 13.
I know. So it's like, when do you make the transition to saying last week? I know.
Yeah, when do we say? Because it's already done. So I guess I can say last week, week 13. So the thing with Deshaun Watson, I know a lot of people were so excited for him to come back. And I had so many start and sit questions with Deshaun Watson. And all I kept thinking was, why? What am I missing? Like, he literally hasn't played a snap of regular season football in over 700 days. Okay, that's over 2 years. And not only that, but he's going into not only a bad matchup against the Houston Texans, which aren't that bad against quarterbacks and wide receivers. They're terrible against the run because everyone runs on them, right? But this was just it, and there's just bad blood there. There's just you can't have that Deshaun Watson stigma going into Houston and think he's going to be fine. No. But the reason I'm not overly concerned with Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, in addition to what you had laid out, is that Deshaun Watson is still Deshaun Watson. He is very good. It's going to take him a little time to, I think, settle down in the pocket. But because he is such an electrifying elite type of quarterback, I think that's going to happen sooner rather than later. So it would not surprise me if this week, second half, he starts lighting it up and things just start clicking. And then suddenly we're back to that conversation about getting these guys more involved. And once he does settle down, then I think Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones do get an upgrade. Not a significant one, not anything that we're going to be like, Amari Cooper is finishing as the wide receiver 5. No, that's not what I'm saying. But they do get an upgrade once Deshaun Watson settles down a little bit. And you want to talk about, I guess, trial by fire, if you want. That whole entire situation was a hot mess that he had to go through. So hopefully all of that is out of his system now. All of that bad garbage is now on fire somewhere where he can't see or smell it. And yeah, all of it's gone so that he can focus on what he needs to do on the football field for us fantasy managers who really need some help here. Come on, man.
All right, so I didn't include this in the worries, mostly because it didn't come into my mind because we had talked about him before, and I even had him barely as an RB2. He was my last RB2 of week 13, but I see a question talking about Alvin Kamara, who is now on a bye. So if he wasn't your last RB2, hopefully you benched him for a lot of options I put in front of him. Actually, all 23 options in front of him. Good job, except for one. So it's really 22 out of 23 because I did have Jeff Wilson in front of him too. So that went belly up as well. But to say 22 out of the 23 people in front of him, it was the right call. There was even a few behind him that would have been the right call. Mm-hmm. Alvin Kamara is on a bye. Alvin Kamara has been ruined with Andy Dalton. But here's what they come out of the bye with. This is why, because like earlier, I was like, you know what? Kamara might be a good buy low for the playoffs. Because starting your playoffs with Alvin Kamara gets you the Atlanta Falcons and then the Cleveland Browns. Ooh. They finish things off with the Eagles, which are middle of the pack, really good pass defense, middle of the pack run defense. If everybody's healthy, it's a little scary run defense. That all being said, I mean, you get Atlanta, the Cleveland situation. So I did include this also because they're on a bye. But I'll phrase it for looking forward, Lauren, for next week. We're going to talk rankings next week for week 15, but a lot of people might check out at that point. So just curiosity point. Would you start Kamara right out of the gate coming out of their bye because he's facing Atlanta if your playoffs hinge on it?
Yeah, I would. I would have to, but I'll be honest with you. I won't like it. I won't like it. And here's my reason why is because Andy Dalton loves to throw the football. He loves it. Oh my God, he's like, Chris Olave, where you at? Unless it's to Kamara. He just let me
throw it at you then.
He's fucking firing. Oh, pardon me. He's firing.
Oh my! You talk about getting bleeped.
Sorry, I know.
Mark that one.
I'm frustrated. I'm so frustrated with Kamara, and I'm frustrated with Andy Dalton. And I'm not, so I have Olave in a lot of places as well. I know, right? That just popped right out. Sorry about that. I apologize, everyone. But I'm very frustrated with this situation. But yeah, so Andy Dalton is just firing all around the field. And it's not going to Kamara, who is an excellent pass catching back. It honestly looks like Kamara is like the fourth or fifth read in that offense. And then when he does get the football, he just doesn't look the same. He doesn't have the same cuts. Maybe they're not creating big enough holes for him. I don't know, but it just doesn't look right. So against Atlanta, who is terrible against wide receivers, I really don't have any reason to believe that Andy Dalton is suddenly going to be like, okay, Kamara, you can run more. Here's the football. No, he's going to be throwing, and he's going to be throwing, and he's going to be throwing. And I still think that Kamara is going to be forgotten. Now, against the Browns, I like that one a lot better. But I don't like starting Kamara. I'm going to have to because he's Alvin Kamara. You never know. In a good matchup, I'd hate myself if I benched him, but I don't like it.
I think the conversation a lot of people are going to be having, even
about
if
how
Michael
I
Carter,
on TV or on
of course,
Sorry,
even if Michael Carter is back, Zonovan Knight against Detroit or Alvin Kamara off the bye against Atlanta, I think is a conversation people are going to be having. I just throw that out there. All right, so let's talk these waivers. Let's talk Zonovan Knight. So great pickup for last week. Everybody's on board with starting him. They were not telling I think Scott Pianowski does this every single year. It's like when a player goes off and it's like Scott always tweets out, you know who liked Zonovan Knight? Everybody. Don't take he's basically tongue in cheek kind of saying, don't take a victory lap for somebody everybody was on. Like nobody wasn't touting Knight with no Michael Carter. So I want to phrase it this way. If Michael Carter is back this week, is Zonovan Knight still one of the top pickups at running back? If he's still sitting out there in the league, if you were hesitant, if you're a slimmer league, because I actually think that even with Michael Carter back, Michael Carter could be in his Michael Carter with Breece Hall role earlier this year, not once Breece Hall was monopolizing that backfield, but kind of like I think this could be a 60-40 split with Zonovan Knight in the 60 and Carter as the pass-catching 40% one. I think they go back to that.
Yeah, when did Michael Carter get hurt? I know it was week 12.
Yes, so you just answered your question.
Yeah, but so what I'm saying was I can't remember specifically how long Michael Carter was actually in the game when he played with Zonovan Knight at the same time.
When did he get hurt? I know it was week 12.
Yeah, but I don't know at which point in the game he got hurt. I did not pay attention to that.
What time is this show? I know it starts at 11.
I know it starts at 11. What is that? No, so honestly, I do agree with you. I think that Zonovan Knight did a good job. And not only that, he did a good job last week, but he did a really good job the week before too. So that's why I was asking how much their crossover was in week 12 before Michael Carter got hurt, because I think that'll give us a really good idea of how it split. I need to go back and look at that. But yeah, there's every reason for me to believe that Zonovan Knight can be pretty heavily involved. And I think it might even be higher than a 60-40 split. I think it might be like near a 50-50 because of how well he looked. And Michael Carter is probably just going to go back to being Michael Carter. And they're not going to really need to ask
on the Zonovan side. I was saying
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see that too.
Okay. So let's talk James Cook. And James Cook's worth picking up in every single league. I said this. James Cook's been worth picking up before, just in case Singletary got hurt. But now we had a James Cook game. And we had a James Cook game when Devin Singletary was healthy. And Devin Singletary was out there. Not as much as James Cook. Not as many touches as James Cook. So we've played this game before, Lauren. And this is why I'm phrasing this. Like I said this in the waiver column. People can go check it out. We've done this with Zach Moss, who is a worse running back than James Cook. But we've done it with other options, other situations where it's, hey, look, it's this guy. We go back the next week. It's back to Devin Singletary. Or the next week is both of them are involved. And Josh Allen's ruining everything on top of it. So, like, I know you go pick up James Cook.
Yes.
But how aggressive would you be for James Cook? As in, do you think this could be the turn for James Cook leading this backfield going forward?
For the regular season, yes. I honestly do. Because when the Bills are taking a look at what the rest of their regular season is going to look like, lots of R's in there, and then they're going to say, okay, we're going to the postseason. What do we need to have happen here? And if we do a replay of what happened last year, Devin Singletary went off in the postseason. So are they going to be like, okay, Devin, you're good. You're still healthy. We don't want to run you into the ground before we can get, past this regular season. We are going to start incorporating in James Cook because he is young. He is fresh. He's getting it done. Frankly, I'm surprised it took this long for him to emerge in this backfield like he did in this previous week. And that's even with Josh Allen rushed 8 times still. I know it's not a huge amount, but it's still pretty decent. And that takes away from the running backs, and yet both of them still had a good game. So it would not surprise me to see James Cook take over. I say that, but I don't want to be like, oh, he's going to be the lead back and Devin Singletary is going to be on the bench. Like, no, that's not what I mean. But I do think that they're going to backpedal with Devin Singletary, keep him fresh and keep him healthy for the postseason. So I would be aggressive going after James Cook because not only does he have standalone value, he is a high upside insurance policy. God forbid if anything happens to Devin Singletary. So it's a win-win in my opinion.
See, my biggest concern is that if something did happen to Devin Singletary, somebody else would be involved because
that's true too.
I don't know if anybody's checked, but they have James Cook listed at 5'11". I kind of give you the side eye at that one. I'd say I was thinking 5'10", maybe even like with cleats. But it's also
say, how tall are his cleats?
Well, I was just gonna say like the James Cook thing. So they have him listed. I think it's actually on the Bills. So I'm gonna pull it up real quick while I'm pulling here. He's like, yeah. He's 5'11" on their site. He is 190. That's real. And that's 190 also potentially with pads on. He might be like 185. So I'm just throwing this out there. I'm saying this to say that James Cook getting 20 touches every single week, probably not happening. Mm-hmm. So the way I want to spin this to talk about James Cook is like, now let's talk about the Seattle backfield, which if we're reading body language, if we're reading what happened on the sideline, Ken Walker's not playing like this week. And maybe not for the rest of the season. The dude had his head down, was getting wrapped. Teammates were giving him the I feel bad for you pat on the back, as in like he blew out his knee. The biggest thing is they say it's a jammed ankle, which he strained it on both sides because it was the same spot, like whatever it might be. Weird things happen. I broke my hand playing basketball here, right here in the middle of the bone because apparently the doctor said I had a freak injury where somehow the knuckles lined up perfectly to put all the pressure down here. So I'm just saying, like, I understand like this might be a freak strain that happened. The thing is they wrapped him up and he tried to stand up and immediately shook his head no. That doesn't look like a 1 week thing. So now we have Travis Homer, who is dealing with a knee and an illness, got a limited session in Friday and then they held him out. DJ Dallas got banged up. So as of now, I go Homer over Dallas and I would start Homer over Dallas.
Is there anyone left?
After that?
Yeah.
For like practice squad players and stuff like that. Oh, of course, no. They have Tony Jones they brought in from the Saints too.
Oh, yeah, okay. Actually, Tony Jones is fun.
But that being said, because Ken Walker's timetable is uncertain, let's say we knew as of the time of waivers being run, because we might get, this is Tuesday, you might get word before your waivers run, we might get word this afternoon. If you knew Travis Homer was healthy, would you go Homer over James Cook because Homer's could be 1 to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe? It's an uncertain timetable. So that's the question I come with James Cook is do you do James Cook knowing that it could be frustrating back and forth the rest of the season, or you do Homer saying, I know I'm going to get an RB2 for at least a week or two, especially with this matchup this week?
Oh, God, that's a good one. I think I would still, I want to say I would still lean James Cook. I want to say that. But I think realistically, you got to look at taking your wins when you can because we're basically knocking on playoff door here. So I think I might have to do
knocking on playoff door.
Yeah, okay. Travis Homer. And I don't like saying it because I love James Cook.
What if you've already clinched your playoff spot? Then do you go get James Cook?
I think I would do James Cook in that particular situation. Yes.
Okay. Now that song is in my head, then it's stuck for the rest of the day, probably. I mean, you're not the one that did it. That's just where my brain went as soon as you said it.
Well, as soon as I said it out loud, too, the song popped in my head as well. So we can suffer together.
We should get that Jake I never had his last name. Anyway, the one that works for Matthew Berry, Jake, and he does all the all the music stuff, the memes that we should get him knocking on playoffs door. I'm gonna message him after the show. Tell him he needs to do it. So let's talk Sean McVay and how much he hates my life. Because Sean McVay talked up Kyren Williams since the draft. Sean McVay comes out this season, uses Cam Akers a little bit, and then goes away from him. And then goes to Darrell Henderson. And then gets rid of Darrell Henderson. And then Kyren Williams is finally active. And he goes to Kyren Williams. 70% of the snaps. The majority of the touches. And then 1 week after that, says, screw you guys. It's Cam Akers time. And now we're back to this. Do you pick up Kyren Williams or Cam Akers? Do you trust Kyren Williams or Cam Akers? Or do you say, double bird you, Sean McVay, I'm not touching anything on this crap offense anyway?
I'm taking the third because I did that about 2-3 weeks ago. So I'm not even gonna try. Not even.
Oh, so you're doing the other song. You're doing "Don't Go Chasing Rams Running Backs."
I love how we went away from the Bills from last season, and now we're talking about the Rams in this one.
It was also the Dolphins. Don't forget.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And now we are back to the Dolphins.
Now we are back to the Dolphins. Yeah, if I can, I'm staying away. I'm staying away. If I have to, I think I would go Kyren Williams because the Rams season is over.
Annoying.
It's so annoying. The Rams season is over. So I think that Sean McVay and that offense, the coaching, they're going to have to figure out what they have in this dude and what it is that he can do, and they're going to have to let him unleash.
Let me throw one potential curveball here for you.
Oh boy.
To pull in baseball. What if it's Cam Akers with Wolford, but Kyren Williams with Perkins because of their
That is
styles?
such a good point. That is a really good point. Like their quarterback splits.
Yeah. With and without blank quarterback, like there's just a fit.
No.
So the answer is just stay the living hell away.
Yeah, literally. Just do my original one and just stay away. Stay as far away.
So then let me phrase it to you this way then. Boy. On a bye, would you go grab Tyler Algier over either Rams running back, even though you can't even use him this week? Okay. Would you go grab Khalil Herbert can return in week 16. That gives you weeks 16s and 17. 16s? Weeks 16 and 17. We know Khalil Herbert's not you can't start him with everybody healthy unless what happened. This is why I had Khalil Herbert in there last week. I have Khalil Herbert in this week, and everybody's like, I can't come back to week 16. Yeah, I know. But what happens if David Montgomery gets hurt next week in week 15? We know Khalil Herbert has top 15 RB1 upside when there is no David Montgomery. So would you stash Herbert or would you stash one of the Rams running backs?
Oh, Herbert, without even a second thought.
Okay. How about Chuba Hubbard? With the way that the Panthers ran 8 billion times with Sam Darnold under center, and the fact that Deonta Foreman says he should be okay, should be 100. He's facing Seattle. He should have a great game. Honestly, Deonta Foreman should just run through this defense over and over and over and over again. But the upside of Hubbard if something happens to Foreman again, because Hubbard, it sounds like even if playing, he's playing through not being 100%.
Yeah, that means likely going to be splitting some carries then moving forward, even if he is, quote, on the field and, quote, healthy. Who knows? Yeah, I don't mind giving Chuba Hubbard a look, especially with the way that this new offense is looking. Yeah, I don't mind Chuba Hubbard. I don't know if I would. You know what? I might do Chuba Hubbard over Khalil Herbert.
Ooh.
And I don't like it.
Because he's playing the next 2 weeks at least?
Literally, yeah. If you're in desperation mode and you need someone to start, at least you're not going to have to rely on an injury in order to make that volume happen because Chuba Hubbard is still getting involved. Yes. Okay.
All right, these last two, I think they're both in your heart. I know one of them is. I know 100%. I know.
Are they written on my heart?
I think this first one.
Scared.
I think are you a Mike Boone fan? Are you a Mike Boone?
I'm decent. I'm neither yay nor nay. I'm just like
okay. You'll go watch a game, hang out with him.
Sure. Yeah. We'll split a beer. Cool.
Well, so first game back from Mike Boone didn't do much, but he was involved, and we know from past experiences with the Broncos that they like Mike Boone. And they like to get him used somewhat in the passing game, somewhat as a timeshare. So, again, it wasn't great, but Latavius Murray, potentially more split with Mike Boone. Do you have any interest? This isn't versus Kyren Williams all the time. Do you have any interest in picking up Mike Boone if you're desperate?
I don't. I don't. I think that
you don't have a place in your heart. He's not even in the corner.
No, I mean, like I said, he's like one of those dudes that a friend of mine from middle school that, was like, hey, I'm in town. You want to meet up for a beer? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I have to go after one beer, but I don't mind going and hanging out.
Oh, I was going to say, and then you don't even show up. You're like, hey, never mind. I got to.
No, I'm not going to flake out. I'll go and chill. But like, if there are other options on the waiver wire for me to be able to utilize now, then I would prefer them over Mike Boone. However, if something did happen to Latavius Murray, I'd be like, Mike Boone all day long. Let's go. So I'm really not super for or super against. He is a very opportunistic back, so I'm only going to rely on him when that opportunity presents itself.
Okay. So last one, and this is as complicated as it gets because we're dealing with Shanahan. That's what it is. We're also dealing with the mess and brand new quarterback. But heading into last week, it was like, is it going to be Tyrion Davis-Price, who's been talked up by this team and beat reporters all year long, that hadn't been that involved because he's not used on special teams. But Jordan Mason is. And then we had the, hey, look, Kyle Shanahan used Tevin Coleman a few weeks ago, and he likes his veterans. And then what did we have? We had our clear answer. The clear answer was Jordan Mason was the next man up. And this was Jimmy Garoppolo kind of spoiled it, kind of gave everybody that hint. He said, I want to see him. We're going to get to see him with more touches. So it's like, oh, well, Jordan Mason's next man up. Was just one game, but was it enough for you to go aggressive? Like, let's say Jordan Mason over Boone, Hubbard, Herbert, Algier, the Rams. Like, because if Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, already playing through some injuries, already just barely got back to 100% this past week, is Jordan Mason one of the priority pickups for you at running back, knowing he's the backup to Christian McCaffrey?
I would put him behind James Cook and behind Chuba Hubbard.
Travis Homer? Behind Hubbard? What about Travis Homer?
If he's healthy.
If Homer's healthy?
No, I'm sorry. If he's not healthy, pardon me. Then yeah, I think I would put him like fourth down there.
Okay. So you're going pretty aggressive for Jordan Mason.
Yeah, it's not bad because just like you said, and we know Christian McCaffrey, things happen to that young man.
They do, and already have with the 49ers. So let's talk some wide receivers. Speaking of things happening, Treylon Burks got concussed. I actually thought it was the way he got hit and then the way he was walking off the sideline. I actually thought it was like a rib thing because he was like he couldn't stand up straight.
I did too. I really thought that he cracked like all of his ribs. When I saw the play, when I saw the touchdown, I was like, he's done for the season. There's no way he's going to come back with broken ribs. No. And then he was concussed. I was like, okay, so there's still hope for the future.
So the thing is, he's facing Jacksonville if he can get cleared, which would seem unlikely given the ways, concussions have been this year. Well,
and his
basically,
looked bad. His looked really bad.
I was going to say, ever since the Tua situation.
Yeah, the optics are not pretty.
But the thing is even if he misses this week, you've got the Chargers, Houston, and then a really scary matchup with Dallas to finish things out. But would you pick up Treylon Burks even knowing you couldn't use him this week because there are 6 teams on a bye, or would you push him down the list? Because I still think, given some of these names, he's the best wide receiver to pick up.
I would. I actually would pick up Treylon Burks because you are going to miss out on your opportunity to get him if you don't do it this week. Because if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it. He is just trending skyrocket upward. So just because, and I think a lot of people are going to do that. They're going to say, oh, no one's going to pick up Treylon Burks. I'm going to sneak in there and grab him. I think that you should be the one to do it because when he comes back, it's going to be lights out like he was playing before.
Okay. Barkley's like walking back and forth between, I don't know what's going on. I might have to take her out. So
she's like, that treat didn't change its flavor, Dad.
She's going back and forth. So I'll ask you this question and apparently see why the heck she needs to go back out. Jameson Williams, first game back. So the Lions have done this twice already. They did it with DJ Chark. They did it with Josh Reynolds. Very limited in their first game back. Jameson Williams was used as a gunner. He was out there for kneel downs. DJ Chark had another good game. How excited are you for Jameson Williams? Could be a game changer with the playoffs and everything, but that usage, does it concern you? Like, would you basically still pick up Jameson Williams over these replaceable wide receiver 3s and 4s we're about to talk about?
I believe I would, and the reason why is this young man has yet to, aside from last week, had yet to actually play a snap in the NFL and was dealing with injuries. So it does not surprise me that they are very careful with him because he is a superstar and he is going to be a superstar. So just kind of getting him into NFL shape, if you will, game speed, getting him used to being out on the field, getting him used to taking snaps. I think that was what was important for Jameson Williams to get out there and be able to have as not only someone who's coming off of injury, someone who's dealing with, being a rookie, but kind of understanding how he feels on the field, I think was very important for the Lions to do with Jameson Williams. Now, I'm still having Jameson Williams behind Treylon Burks. Just so you know.
I still have him behind. She had to go poops McGee apparently for some reason. Again, but she's better now. It's 2 poops in a day already.
Hey,
anyway, I completely agree with the Jameson Williams, mostly because he's top 25 upside. Mm-hmm. And I think if he's 100%, he's going to get past DJ Chark. I think that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I like DJ Chark. I still, for reference, I had him as a sleeper last week. And people were like, oh, even with Jameson Williams being active. And I referenced that. I said, no, because the Lions have done this. The Lions don't do a lot in their first game back with their wide receivers. All right. So, Jameson Williams versus this wide receiver, Michael Gallup. 2 touchdowns. Michael Gallup. Not a lot of yards. But this is like the excitement we had for Michael Gallup going into this year was being the number 2 for Dak Prescott. Pretty decent schedule. Would you go Jameson Williams or would you go Michael Gallup?
I think I'm going to go Michael Gallup here, and I don't like it. I don't like it, but I like the touchdown upside. And what bothers me about Michael Gallup is that, yes, he had 2 touchdowns, but he had 30 yards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If he doesn't get a
touchdown this week against the Houston Texans, I mean, he might not even be on the field in the second half.
I know. That's what's so frustrating about it. But if he's on the field and he's a warm body, he's usually going to be a target in the red zone and in the end zone. So it's like, are you willing to pass up on that opportunity to get the touchdowns? He's a touchdown dependent boom or bust player. That's just how Michael Gallup is going to be.
Okay, well then let's say in that game on the other side of the field, Brandon Cooks might not play for the rest of this year. This is kind of the speculation we had when he was demanding his trade.
I'm surprised he came back.
I think so. What I think the Brandon Cooks thing is, so look, Brandon Cooks wants to be traded. Brandon Cooks wants the hell out of Houston. No problem there. He was frustrated. But I think Brandon Cooks is the similar situation or some similar reasoning behind Jeff Saturday. So Jeff Saturday won that first game. And now he can tank. And everybody's like, oh, he won the first game. He's been tanking. And people are just like, yeah, whatever. He won the first game. So he's not really tanking, is he? Yeah, he's tanking. I think Brandon Cooks was kind of the same thing. Brandon Cooks was like, I want the hell out of here, but I don't want that stink of being an Odell Beckham kind of personality. I'm going to go play a game or 2 to show that I still whatever, but now this injury, now I'm hurt again for the rest of the year, so I can get the hell out of here. So that's why I think he could potentially be done. Nico Collins has to face the Cowboys this week, but he's essentially the last man standing in the wide receiver. I mean, we're talking about Chris Moore and Philip Dorsett. So would you go Michael Gallup or would you go Nico Collins?
That's so gross. Can I go neither?
You can.
I think
it's about to get grosser.
I know. I think I still might lean a little bit towards Michael Gallup on this one, simply because I know that there's like you had mentioned, the touchdown equity is kind of on Michael Gallup's side here. I don't know what's going on with that quarterback room with the Texans. I don't know the majority of what's going on with the Texans. So I'd rather take the
no problem moving on from Davis Mills, but the answer is not playing Kyle Allen.
I know. I don't get it. It's just maybe they're going to pick up Baker Mayfield. Wouldn't that be a trip?
Actually, Funston threw out a good one to me yesterday. I thought the same thing. I said the Houston Texans because you're looking at a quarterback next year. Maybe you resurrect some value. Maybe you get a trade out of him. He looks good for the rest of the season. Or maybe he makes your answer of hey, we can draft a rookie if they're not ready right out of the gate. There's a competition, blah, 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 blah. Funston actually threw out the Titans, which was oh, that's interesting. I can see that because only for this year, because if you're in the playoffs, you don't want to turn to Malik Willis with the playoffs in the line. Malik Willis is the answer next year, but for this year only. That one was kind of interesting to me. Not that I'm super excited where Baker goes no matter what, but it's just I thought that was interesting. So Corey Davis is he the Darius Slayton of the Jets? And they're both New York teams. Nobody wants Corey Davis, but when he's out there, he's just hey, look, put up another 80 yards. Oh, look, another 80 yards, 70, 80. Maybe I score.
They're very parallel because they quietly get it done. I love Corey Davis. I used to have mad hate for him years and years ago. When he was, I believe, with the Titans and just never got anything done. Was it because of the hype coming out of college? Yes, and it was okay. Oh, God. That was those years ago, though. But I'm a big Corey Davis truther now. I do like Corey Davis a lot. In fact, I will take the PPR upside of Corey Davis over Michael Gallup.
Michael Gallup? I can see that.
Because of the yards.
So DJ Chark is next. Is this about the range he deserves to be in because DJ Chark, ? Might be done after 1 week. The job Is about, hey, remember Wally pipped? This job's going to get Wally pipped on him. But he didn't miss time, so he can't get Wally pipped. He already missed his time, so he can't get Wally pipped now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like those, freak random players that blow up and completely annihilate your DFS line because you did not expect them to have a super huge game unless you're Jake Ciely and wrote about him in your sleeper. That's DJ Chark.
Don't do
it. Don't do it.
I think everybody wants DJ Chark to go away just so we can stop remembering that song.
That song, right? Yeah. That's not his fault because he was around way before that song was. So I would not be happy if I were in his position.
If anyone wants to make a ton of money, just come out with a super simple, catchy tune and just have it for kids, and then done. And you just make $1 million in 2 years. Actually, well more than that. So, Kadarius Toney, maybe back, maybe not. Marquez Valdes-Scantling is the answer 1 out of 3 games. We still have Mecole Hardman out for another week. Or is it 2 weeks? Week or two. Would you go grab Kadarius Toney? Like, it's like, you know how I feel about him. Like, yeah, fine, whatever. Like, cool. If you want to, go ahead. See, you're kind of the same way. Like, if you want to, go ahead. All right, then let me answer the question. Ask the question of the wide receiver right behind him. On a bye, Jahan Dotson had been quiet since he came back, but that second game immediately was out there 90% of the time. He's just been quiet. Dotson kind of gives Heineke a second option. Granted, a lot of that was after that catch on that touchdown. He did a lot of his wiggle room, but that's what Jahan Dotson is. Would you pick up Dotson or Toney or Alec Pierce off that game that he just has, and maybe the Colts? By the way, Paris Campbell, free agent. Yes, he's already chalked in. He's already got his 4 years. For like everybody's like, oh my God, Paris Campbell already 4 years. Would you go Toney, Dotson, or Paris Campbell, or Alec Pierce?
I'm going to go Dotson. I was so pleased to see how well that they played with Taylor Heineke, who, like we say, only has eyes for Terry McLaurin. I think he's starting to branch out a little bit, which is nice. I like to see him diversify his passing game. That's nice.
I keep forgetting to bring my Heineke jersey down. I'm going to bring it down, and then he's going to get hurt or something.
Oh, yeah, don't do it. Just like when I went to Nashville that one year that Derrick Henry was out for the season. Don't curse it. Yeah, I do like Dotson over the other two. I was going to say all three, but he is the third, so.
How about these last couple scraping the barrel type situations? Rondale Moore, although for what Rondale Moore did before he got hurt wasn't scraping the barrel, but what Rondale Moore was doing was also before Marquise Brown was back. So now it's Hopkins, Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore is expected to return after their bye. They're all out there. Is Rondale Moore worthy of a pickup for you now that Marquise Brown's out there in the mix too? Or I compare him to Tyler Boyd. Like, if you kind of need the spot, but understand that he just might not be involved this week.
Exactly. That is exactly where I would put him, is in the Tyler Boyd conversation. The opportunity for him to get it done in that offense is always there. But with Marquise Brown muddying the waters, it's not nearly as exciting as it was before. So if there are other options that are available, like just the ones that we talked about, I think I'd rather have Dotson than Rondale Moore. I think I'd rather have Michael Gallup over Rondale Moore. But I'm interested to see how far he slips. How far does he go through this waiver wire process for managers until they're like, oh, okay, so you can literally pick him up Sunday morning if you need a spot start because, X, Y, and Z isn't playing or whatever, and you're like, pick up Rondale Moore. Why not? I'm curious to see how far he's gonna fall. I'm personally not attacking him unless I'm in deeper leagues that I need a warm body who I know is starting. Okay.
Then the last one, and we're going to transition to the quarterbacks with this, as Barkley's super thirsty, as you can hear now. I mean, it's all that aggressive pooping she was doing.
Hey, girls got to
DeMarcus Robinson would have 3 good games if he would have caught that 1 touchdown. But Tyler Huntley is at quarterback for at least a week, if not longer. DeMarcus Robinson looked decent out there, but DeMarcus Robinson, I just mentioned him. He's the last of the wide receivers I've mentioned. It was him and Peoples-Jones, but we already talked about Peoples-Jones with the worries. Should he be there, or is DeMarcus Robinson, should he be more like near Corey Davis, like kind of overlooked for what he's been doing now?
No,
is it because of Tyler Huntley, or is it because of DeMarcus Robinson?
If anything, I think he gets a slight upgrade with Tyler Huntley, to be totally honest. But it's just it's this offense as a whole. They're 26th in passing. They're 6th in rushing. I don't know how much that's going to change with Tyler Huntley at the helm, but that's just, there's not enough volume unless your name is Mark Andrews. There is not enough volume to go around in that offense. So that's my biggest concern for Robinson, is just the lack of passing volume that they have and their inability to execute well in the red zone. It's terrible. They are struggling in the red zone. They are struggling to put points on the board. And for all those reasons, I'm staying away from Demarcus Robinson again, unless I'm in a super deep league and I need a warm body on the field.
Well, speaking of warm bodies, you might need one at quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
The list that I have at quarterback, this is going forward, quarterbacks that are under 60% rostered. And I start with Daniel Jones, because he fell under 60%. I don't like Daniel Jones, but he's going to run. And honestly, this week, it could be very ugly. Facing the Eagles, it could be super ugly. Mm-hmm. But you just saw even that ugly-ish kind of game against the Commanders, still QB 15 range. So Jones over Huntley, that's where I stop. I'll go Tyler Huntley until Lamar Jackson comes back because he runs. And Heineke's on a bye. I like Mike White, but it's still... I mean, Mike White might end up being the number one, but I saw enough of Mike White last year that I still have reservations. So there you go. Jared Goff.
Game coming.
Jared Goff is indoors for the next 2 weeks, but then the 2 weeks after that, outdoors, including the Jets, which worries the hell out of me. Kenny Pickett, Tannehill, and Mariota. So is Huntley one of your top? Is it Huntley and Jones and then everybody else, or is there another one that you liked from the list?
Yeah, honestly, those are good. Those are the two at the top. I think an argument can be made for Mariota. I don't like it. I think all of them are gross, except for Jared Goff for the next 2 weeks. All of them are really gross, and it stinks. And I don't want to have anyone.
Oh wait, no.
Situation.
It's just this week. Next week is the Jets. He's out. He's back indoors for week 17. Oh my
God, it's week 14. Oh,
yeah, he's got Minnesota, then outdoors Jets, outdoors Panthers, and then home against the Bears.
I do like Goff this week against Minnesota. I think,
but that's it, right?
Exploit that secondary, but other than that, that's it. The matchups are bad. This is literally don the hazmat suit, put on the respirator, and go diving, and just don't think about it too much.
Well, that's what you might need to do is at tight end. You might need to do the same thing as we get out of here. Tight end. Yes.
Ew.
Evan Ingram, Greg Dulcich. I like Daniel Bellinger.
That's it. Oh, I do like Daniel Bellinger too.
And then I'll give you one more. Tyler Conklin has just got left out again. Yeah. Oh, what were we going to say about Dulcich?
Next week, he plays the Arizona Cardinals. This week, Evan Ingram plays the Tennessee Titans. They are bottom five. So pick up both of them if you have the room, because you're going to need Greg Dulcich next week.
Just stream against them?
Just do it.
The bad thing is we get freaking Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble wasted against Seattle. So, and then they get George Kittle and then Travis. Oh God, good. Enjoy Travis Kelce for Christmas, everybody. Going against Seattle.
Thank you.
Tyler Conklin, the final game against Seattle. So there's the Conklin play. I will throw one more out before we get out of here, and only because I like to know that. Just because I know how to pronounce his name, and I like to say it. So Chigoziem Okonkwo. By the way,
bless you.
He goes by Chig for the first name, so you can make it simpler on yourself. But the Chigoziem is actually the easier part. But Chig Okonkwo, the tight end for the Titans, he is in play. Everybody's been trying to make Austin Hooper. It's Okonkwo, especially if Treylon Burks is out. I think the problem is he's not out there for a lot of 11 sets. He's out there for a lot of 12, which that the Titans run a decent amount of. But the snap count is always, it's going to be. But if you're looking for a super flyer, and Ingram's gone, Dulcich is gone, Conklin's probably gone, you're pretty much down to Bellinger and Okonkwo. I just wanted to say his name as many possible times.
I like it. I still think I might lean Bellinger a little bit on that one.
I would too, just barely, because he's out there more. And make sure you're following Lauren at Stepmom Lauren with Wine Up Wednesdays over on FTN. Check that out. Code ALLIN gets you 20% off. We'll be back tomorrow with Ranks with Chris Meany. Make sure you're following out his work too if you want some help and hockey advice. He gives the best there is. And over at The Athletic, Ranks will be out tonight, midnight, or whenever you're listening to this. It might be different, but it's out there. $2 a month. Go check it out. Bye.